Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead,
There's
baby.
been so many wrong things said here by everybody. I'd like to correct some of them. She's not a dotard. Shirley Chisholm didn't get anywhere. That's to our point.
No,
it takes a different kind.
It lays some groundwork for others later.
107 days was more than enough time. That's a stupid excuse, in my view, that it wasn't enough time. If anything, our election should be like Britain and like other countries. They don't need 100 days.
The woke left has gone completely off the rails, folks. And we've reached a point where even prominent liberal voices are starting to speak up against the madness. Bill Maher, a man I disagree with on plenty of issues, has been one of the few voices of reason on the left willing to call out the insanity happening in his own party. Today, we're going to break down why this matters, what it means for America, and why conservative principles are more important now than ever. I've got to say, when Bill Maher is the voice of reason for Democrats, you know they've strayed far from the path of sanity.
Donna, are we more likely to see a conservative female president before a liberal one? Oh, that's an interesting question. Okay.
I think we'll see a Democratic. We've had three. We've had Geraldine Ferraro as a nominee, Hillary Clinton as a nominee, Kamala Harris as a nominee. We will have a Democratic female president in my lifetime.
I say...
And the asteroid will not hit her. She will deflect it, and with her superpowers, things will be okay.
Okay. Can I make one suggestion?
What?
Not a vice president named Tim.
Okay.
You know, enough with a lady and a Tim.
Okay.
Remember Tim Kaine?
Tim Kaine. Okay.
Tim Walz.
Okay.
It is interesting how many global women leaders have come from the right. I mean, Britain's now had 3 conservative female prime ministers before it had a single Labour one. The current conservative leader is a young black woman called Kemi Badenoch.
Right.
Now, that's pretty amazing, I think. And it's lovely that no one really makes a big deal out of it.
Well,
Either we look at Merkel as a Christian Democrat, Indira Gandhi, Mayer, these are hard-ass women.
Hard-ass women.
And there's something about that Iron Lady kind of, I'm going to go to war with the whole feminine shtick that's kind of really potent in the human psyche.
Well, I think people think that a woman leader has to kind of overcompensate a little towards strength, and people are drawn to strength. Look at Clowney, you know. I mean, look at Trump.
Oh, sorry.
Really have to spell that out?
It's late.
By the way, you left out Shirley Chisholm. She wasn't a nominee, but she ran for president.
She ran for president.
Before we dive in, I want to thank our sponsors for making this show possible. Insert sponsor message. Now, let's get into it. What's happening when lifetime liberals are calling out their own party? It means the mask is slipping, patriots. It means what we've been saying for years is finally becoming impossible to ignore. Let's talk about delusion, folks. The kind of delusion that has the left completely disconnected from reality. You know what's fascinating to me? How the Democratic leadership and their media allies spent 2 years telling us that Joe Biden was completely fit to serve another 4 years. That anyone questioning his mental acuity was engaging in right-wing conspiracy theories. Remember that? Then suddenly, after a debate where the whole world saw what we've been talking about, they panicked. They threw him under the bus and installed Kamala Harris without a proper primary. And now they want to gaslight us into believing she ran a great campaign? This isn't just political gamesmanship. This is straight up gaslighting of the American people.
Yeah. Mexico just elected a female president. We've had female presidents in Africa. It's time, folks. We know how to lead. We can build a future for everybody.
Yeah, you just got to
happen.
I know, but you can't.
Next time have an actual primary where a woman candidate can prove her worth and not just be stuck in and nominated at the very last minute because you had a dotard running that you wouldn't fess up to?
Well, first of all,
isn't the DNC responsible for that?
That's not fair.
First of all, we had a primary.
I don't know, but it doesn't sound good.
Joe and Kamala did win enough delegates. 14 million people participated in it, and we should not disenfranchise those Americans. So, but look,
I think it would have been better.
Wait, by the way, she was on a ticket that got elected to the White House. It's not like she was never voted for.
But if you want to have a
I
good
just want to put that
candidate-
out there.
Well,
That's
sure.
all.
She was a
People
strong,
voted.
good candidate.
Okay,
But
first-
you know what?
Terrible candidate. If you
107
can't see
days.
that now, when are you going to see
Okay,
it?
first of all, there's so many
I
wrong.
can put my glasses on and I can still tell you I can see a leader when I see a leader.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, baby. Go ahead,
There's
baby.
been so many wrong things said here by everybody. I'd like to correct some of them. She's not a dotard. Shirley Chisholm didn't get anywhere. That's to our point. It takes a different kind.
It lays some groundwork for others later. So that's
107 days was more than enough time. That's a stupid excuse, in my view, that it wasn't enough time. If anything, our election should be like Britain and like other countries. They don't need 100 days. She was actually doing fine after the first few months.
After winning 81 million votes, Donald Trump never conceded the election.
Bill Maher, a man who's voted Democrat his entire life, couldn't take it anymore. He called it out for what it was, a stupid excuse. 107 days was more than enough time for Harris to make her case to the American people. The problem wasn't time, it was substance. Harris couldn't articulate a coherent vision for America because there wasn't one. Just empty platitudes and identity politics. Even with the full force of Hollywood, big tech, a mainstream media behind her, Americans weren't buying what she was selling. And what's the response when their narrative falls apart? But Trump didn't concede. What does that have to do with anything? It's classic deflection. When you can't defend your position, change the subject. This woke mentality has infected every level of our discourse. It's not about facts, it's about feelings. It's not about policies, it's about pronouns. It's not about America, it's about tearing down everything that made America great in the first place.
No, Hillary.
Hillary won the popular vote. So we actually have elected a woman.
Yeah.
It's just that our stupid system, the way we play the game,
that's
she
another
didn't get elected.
conversation.
But we can't say that the country, and also the votes are now finally all in for this election. Kamala Harris lost by your mustache hair. That like this much, it's so close.
Always.
So, right.
You know, Bill,
But
you said everyone at the table said something false. What did you say that was false?
Nothing. As ever. But the other false thing was, you know, that she ran a great campaign. She did not run a great campaign, and you're going to keep losing if you insist that she ran a great campaign.
I'm saying,
she didn't.
look, there was no model for the campaign that she had to run. Look, on July 21st at 1:41 p.m., when Joe Biden announced that he was going to step down, Kamala Harris had to step up. Now, what other Democrat could have stepped up in that period of time?
We're not arguing about that.
All right,
We're
well
arguing the
then-
campaign she ran. They
How
asked
do
her
we-
what she would do differently. She said, I can't think of anything. That's terrible.
How do
She
we
did not-
trust a party that was telling us with a straight face that Joe Biden could be president for 4 more years without any problem whatsoever? That's what the Democrats were telling us. It was a massive lie. We saw through it. Everyone saw through it.
Did you see him this week? Could you imagine if we were just starting on the next term? That was
First
not.
of all,
Wandered off
happy
into the
birthday, Joe
Brazilian
Biden.
rainforest.
Happy birthday. Joe Biden turned 82 this week.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room that the segment you shared brought up. The obsession with having a female president. Now, I want to be crystal clear. I believe a woman absolutely can and someday will be president of the United States. But here's where I differ from the left. It should be because she's the best person for the job, not because it's time. Notice how that panelist said, it's time, folks. Time for what exactly? Time to elect someone based on their gender rather than their qualifications? Is that really the standard we want to set for the most powerful position in the world? Margaret Thatcher wasn't elected because it was time for a woman to be prime minister. She was elected because her vision and leadership resonated with the British people. Same with Golda Meir in Israel or Angela Merkel in Germany. The conservative approach to equality is simple. May the best person win, regardless of gender, race, or any other immutable characteristic. The woke approach? It's your turn now. That's not progress, folks. That's regression. That's tribal thinking that divides us rather than unites us. And Bill Maher, to his credit, seems to understand this. He pushed back on the narrative that Harris ran a great campaign simply because she's a woman. He demanded accountability. And Honesty, that's something we as conservatives have been fighting for. Merit over identity politics. Results over representation. Substance over symbolism. Let's talk about the media's role in all this. For 4 years, the mainstream media threw everything they had at Donald Trump. Every accusation, every scandal, every negative spin possible. They worked overtime to convince Americans that he was the worst president in history. Then, for 4 years, they covered for Biden's obvious decline. They ignored policy failures. They explained away inflation, the border crisis, international embarrassments. They pretended everything was fine. When Kamala Harris stepped in, they went from treating her as a failed VP with the lowest approval ratings in modern history to suddenly portraying her as a political rock star overnight. Magazine covers, fawning interviews, ignoring her word salad answers and policy flip-flops. But Americans aren't stupid. We can see what's happening. What's fascinating to me is that Bill Maher, someone deeply embedded in liberal Hollywood culture, has been willing to call this out. He's been willing to say what many on the left won't, that their emperor has no clothes. And how does the left respond to criticism even from one of their own? They dismiss it, they deflect, they change the subject. Just like that panelist immediately pivoting to Trump never conceded when confronted with legitimate criticism of Harris. This is why trust in media is at an all-time low. Americans are tired of being lied to. They're tired of being manipulated. They're tired of being treated like they can't see what's right in front of them. Let's talk about what's really at stake here. This isn't just about one election or one politician. This is about the soul of America and the direction we're heading. When a party is willing to lie so blatantly to the American people about Biden's fitness, about the economy, about the border crisis, about crime in our cities, what else are they willing to lie about? When they prioritize woke ideology over practical solutions to real problems facing everyday Americans, what does that say about their priorities? The left has abandoned working class Americans in favor of coastal elites and ideological extremists. They've abandoned common sense in favor of increasingly radical positions that most Americans don't support. And when challenged on any of this, their response isn't to engage in good faith debate. It's to label critics as bigots, as extremists, as threats to democracy. This is why Bill Maher's criticism is so powerful. They can't dismiss him as a right-wing extremist. They can't claim he's a Fox News puppet. He's one of their own, and he's saying what many Americans across the political spectrum are thinking. The stakes couldn't be higher. We're fighting for an America where free speech is protected, where merit matters more than identity, where policies are judged by their results rather than their intentions. We're fighting for an America where we can disagree without demonizing each other, where we can acknowledge reality without being called names, where we can have honest conversations about complex issues. That's what conservatives stand for. That's what patriotic Americans of all political stripes should stand for. So where do we go from here? First, we need to reclaim our institutions. Education, media, entertainment, these have been captured by woke ideology, and the results are plain to see. We need alternatives that respect America's founding principles and common sense. Second, we need to stand firm against cancel culture and censorship. When they try to silence dissent, we need to speak louder. When they try to bully people into submission, we need to stand tall. Third, we need to build coalitions with reasonable people across the political spectrum. Bill Maher may be a liberal, but on free speech or in pushing back against woke extremism, on demanding honest discourse, we share common ground. Fourth, we need to focus on solutions rather than grievances. Yes, the left has gone off the deep end. Yes, the media is complicit. But what's our alternative vision? What are we for? Not just what are we against. Finally, we need to remember what we're fighting for. We're fighting for an America where your success is determined by your choices, not your characteristics. An America where liberty and opportunity are available to all who seek it. An America that leads the world not just in military might, but in moral clarity. That's the conservative vision. That's the American vision. And despite what the left might tell you, it's a vision that resonates with millions of Americans of all backgrounds. As we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a few thoughts. The fact that Bill Maher, a committed liberal, is pushing back against woke extremism should tell us something important. This isn't about left versus right anymore. It's about sanity versus madness. It's about truth versus propaganda. It's about America versus those who want to fundamentally transform it into something unrecognizable. We shouldn't celebrate when liberals like Maher call out the extremism in their own ranks because it's a gotcha moment. We should celebrate it because it means there's still hope for finding common ground. It means there are still people on both sides who value truth over tribal loyalty. That's how we heal this country. Not by compromising our principles, but by finding others who share our commitment to reality, to fairness, to the American experiment. So let's continue to speak truth. Let's continue to stand firm. Let's continue to fight for the America we love and believe in.